I smoothed my dress and took a deep breath, plastering on a smile as I opened the front door. "Catherine, what a surprise," I said, my voice sickly sweet. "We weren't expecting you today." My mother-in-law breezed past me, her perfume leaving a cloying trail. "Oh, Kelsey, dear, I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd pop by. Where's my Gregory?" Before I could answer, my husband appeared from his study, grinning. "Mom, what brings you here?" I retreated to the kitchen, gripping the counter as their voices drifted in. Everything had been perfect this morning. Gregory and I sharing coffee, our daughter Emma chattering about her upcoming school play. Now, with Catherine's unexpected arrival, tension crackled through the air. "Kelsey?" Gregory called. "Could you bring us some tea?" Gritting my teeth, I prepared a tray and returned to the living room. Catherine was perched on the edge of the sofa, rifling through her oversized purse. "Ah, there it is," she said triumphantly, pulling out a small velvet box. "Gregory, darling, I found this while cleaning out the attic. I thought Kelsey might like to have it." My husband took the box, opening it carefully. His brow furrowed. "Mom, this isn't ours. Where did you get this?" Catherine waved a hand dismissively. "Oh, it's been in that old trunk for years. I'm not sure where it came from originally." Curiosity got the better of me. "May I see it?" Gregory handed me the box, and I nearly dropped it when I saw its contents. A delicate gold locket nestled on faded velvet, its surface etched with a familiar pattern of intertwined roses. This was my mother's," I whispered, my fingers trembling as I touched the cool metal. Catherine's eyes gleamed. "Was it now? How fascinating." I looked up sharply. "How did you get this? My mother's been gone for years." "As I said, dear, I'm not sure where it came from, and perhaps it was mixed in with some old things." Gregory placed a hand on my arm. "Kels, are you okay? You look pale." I shook my head, trying to clear the fog of memories threatening to overwhelm me. "I'm fine. I need some air." As I stood, Catherine's voice stopped me. "Kelsey, don't you want to open it? There might be a picture inside." My heart raced. I hadn't seen my mother's face in over 2 decades. With shaking hands, I pried open the locket. Inside was a faded photograph of a young woman with my eyes and smile, holding a baby. "That's you, isn't it?" Catherine asked, her voice dripping with false concern. "My, how alike you two look." I snapped the locket shut. "I need to lie down. Gregory, could you see your mother out?" Without waiting for a response, I fled upstairs, collapsing on our bed. The locket pressed against my palm, its weight far heavier than its size suggested. How had Catherine gotten her hands on this? And why now, after all these years? The question swirled in my mind along with long-buried memories of my mother. A soft knock interrupted my thoughts. "Kels?" Gregory's voice came through the door. "Mom's gone. Can I come in?" I sat up, hastily wiping my eyes. "Yeah, come in." He sat beside me, his face etched with worry. "Want to talk about it?" I shook my head. "Not yet. I don't understand how your mother ended up with this. It doesn't make sense." Gregory sighed. "I don't know either, but we'll figure it out, okay?" As he pulled me into a hug, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. Catherine's unexpected visit and the mysterious appearance of my mother's locket felt like the first tremors before an earthquake. Little did I know, it was just the beginning of a storm that would shake the very foundations of our family. The locket lay heavy in my hand as I stared at the phone, debating whether to call my aunt. If anyone knew about my mother's past, it would be her sister. But before I could decide, the doorbell rang. I groaned, already knowing who it was. Sure enough, Catherine's voice floated up from downstairs, followed by Gregory's warm welcome. This was the 3rd time this week she'd dropped by. Steeling myself, I headed down. Catherine beamed at me, her eyes glinting. "Kelsey, dear, I brought some old photo albums I thought you might like to see." My stomach churned. "That's thoughtful of you, Catherine." Gregory shot me a pleading look. "Mom's been going through boxes in the attic. Lots of memories, right, Mom?" I bit back a retort. Of course she had. "How nice," I managed. Catherine settled on the couch, patting the spot beside her. "Come, Kelsey, let's take a trip down memory lane." Reluctantly, I sat. Catherine flipped open an album, pointing to a faded photograph. "Look, it's me at your age. Don't you see the resemblance to your mother?" I stiffened. "I wouldn't know. I haven't seen her in years." "Oh, that's right," Catherine cooed. Her sympathy as fake as her eyelashes. Such a shame, but perhaps these photos will help fill in some blanks. As she flipped through the album, my unease grew. How did she have so many pictures from my mother's youth? And why was she so eager to share them now? "Catherine," I said, my voice tight, "how quickly did you come by these?" She waved a hand dismissively. "Oh, you know how it is. Things get mixed up over the years." Gregory cleared his throat. "Mom, maybe we should." "Oh," Catherine exclaimed, cutting him off. "I almost forgot. I brought something else for you, Kelsey." She reached into her oversized purse and pulled out a small, ornate box. My breath caught. It was identical to the one that had held my mother's locket. "Where did you get that?" I demanded. Catherine's smile never wavered. "It was with the other things. I thought you might like to have it." I snatched the box, my hands shaking as I opened it. Inside lay a delicate silver bracelet, one I remembered my mother wearing when I was a child. This was hers," I whispered. "Was it?" Catherine's eyes widened in mock surprise. "How extraordinary." I turned to Gregory, my voice rising. "Did you know about this?" He held up his hands. "Kels, I swear I had no idea." Catherine patted my knee. Now, dear, no need to get upset. I'm sure there's a perfectly reasonable explanation." "Then explain it," I snapped. "How do you have my mother's things?" The room fell silent. Catherine's smile finally faltered, but before she could respond, Emma burst through the front door. "Mom! Dad! Guess what?" Our daughter froze, sensing the tension. "What's going on?" Gregory jumped up. "Nothing, sweetie. Why don't we go get a snack?" As they left, Catherine leaned in close. "Kelsey, dear, I know this must be difficult for you, but don't you think it's time you learn the truth about your mother?" My heart pounded. "What are you talking about?" She patted my hand. "All in good time. For now, why don't I come by tomorrow? We can have a nice long chat, just the two of us." Before I could protest, she was gathering her things. "Gregory," she called. "I'm heading out. See you tomorrow, Kelsey." The door closed behind her, leaving me stunned and clutching my mother's bracelet. What game was Catherine playing? And more importantly, what did she know about my mother that I didn't? As Gregory and Emma's laughter drifted in from the kitchen, I made a decision. Tomorrow I'd get answers, whether Catherine wanted to give them or not. I paced the living room, my nerves frayed to the breaking point. Catherine was due any minute, and I was determined to get answers. The sound of a key in the lock made me freeze. "Kelsey?" Catherine's sing-song voice called out. "I'm here, dear." I spun around. "How did you get in?" She dangled a key, smiling. "Oh, Gregory gave me a spare. For emergencies, you know." My blood boiled. "This isn't an emergency, Catherine, and you can't just walk into our home whenever you please." She waved dismissively. "Don't be silly. We're family." I took a deep breath. "Catherine, we need to talk about boundaries, and about my mother." Her eyes glittered. "Of course, dear. That's why I'm here." We sat, the air thick with tension. Catherine pulled out another photo album. "I found more pictures. Your mother was quite the beauty." I gritted my teeth. "How do you have these? You didn't even know my mother." Catherine's smile turned predatory. "Oh, but I did. We were close." My heart raced. "What do you mean, close?" She leaned in. "Your mother and I shared a lot, Kelsey, including Gregory's father." The room spun. "That's impossible. You're lying." "Am I?" She pulled out a letter. "Read it yourself." With shaking hands, I unfolded the paper. My mother's handwriting stared back at me, detailing a torrid affair with Catherine's husband. "No," I whispered. "This can't be true." Catherine's voice dripped with false sympathy. "I'm afraid it is. Your mother was quite the homewrecker." Rage surged through me. "Get out. Now." She stood, clutching her purse. "Think about what I've told you, Kelsey. There's so much more you don't know." As soon as she left, I called Gregory. "We need to talk. Now." An hour later, we sat at the kitchen table, the letter between us. "Did you know about this?" I demanded. Gregory's face was pale. "No, I swear. I had no idea." "Then why give her a key to our house? Why let her invade our lives like this?" He ran a hand through his hair. "She's my mother, Kels. I thought she was just trying to connect with you." I slammed my hand on the table. "Connect? She's manipulating us, Gregory. Can't you see that?" "Maybe she just wants to help you understand your past," he said weakly. I stood, my chair scraping the floor. "My past is none of her business, and if you won't set boundaries with her, I will." Gregory reached for me. "Kelsey, wait." But I was already halfway up the stairs. I slammed our bedroom door, my mind reeling. How much of what Catherine said was true, and how much was carefully crafted manipulation? I pulled out my phone, scrolling to my aunt's number. It It was time to get some real answers. "Aunt Sarah? It's Kelsey. We need to talk about Mom." Her voice was wary. "What brought this on?" I took a deep breath. "Catherine, Gregory's mother. She has Mom's things, photos I've never seen, and a letter about an affair." Silence stretched across the line. Finally, Aunt Sarah sighed. "Oh, Kelsey, I'd hoped you'd never have to know about all that." My heart sank. "So it's true?" "Some of it," she said carefully. "But I guarantee Catherine isn't telling you everything. There's more to the story." A knock at the door interrupted us. "Kelsey?" Gregory called. "Mom's here again. She says she has more to tell us." I closed my eyes, dread settling in my stomach. "I have to go, Aunt Sarah, but this isn't over." As I hung up, I steeled myself for another confrontation. Whatever game Catherine was playing, I was determined to win. For my family's sake and for the truth about my mother. I stormed downstairs, my anger fueling each step. Catherine sat in our living room, looking far too comfortable. Gregory hovered nearby, his face a mask of concern. "What are you doing here?" I demanded. Catherine smiled sweetly. "I thought we could continue our chat, dear. There's so much more to discuss." I turned to Gregory. "Did you let her in again?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Kels, she had the key." "I couldn't exactly." "The key you gave her," I interrupted. "Without asking me." Catherine clucked her tongue. Now, let's not fight. I'm only here to help." I laughed bitterly. "Help? You've done nothing but cause problems since you showed up with that locket." "Kelsey," Gregory started, but I held up a hand. "No, I'm done." I marched to the front door and flung it open. "Catherine, get out, now." She didn't move. "Don't you want to know the truth about your mother?" "Not from you," I spat. Catherine sighed dramatically. "Very well, but remember, I tried to do this the easy way." She stood, reaching into her purse. "Perhaps these will change your mind." She tossed a stack of photographs onto the coffee table. I froze, recognizing my mother's face among them. But the images, they couldn't be real. "What is this?" I whispered, picking up a photo of my mother in a compromising position with a man I didn't recognize. Catherine's voice dripped with false sympathy. "Your mother had quite a colorful past, dear. These are just the tip of the iceberg." My hands shook. "Where did you get these?" "Oh, I have my sources," she said airily. "The question is, what will you do with this information?" I looked at Gregory, who seemed as shocked as I felt. "Did you know about this?" He shook his head vehemently. "Kels, I swear I had no idea." Suddenly, it all became too much. The invasion of privacy, the manipulation, the secrets. I couldn't take it anymore. "That's it," I said, my voice deadly calm. "I'm calling the police." Catherine's eyes widened. "Now, Kelsey, let's not be hasty." But I was already dialing. Gregory tried to intervene, but I pushed past him. "Hello? Yes, I need to report an intruder in my home." Catherine stood, her facade cracking. "You wouldn't dare." I met her gaze steadily. "Watch me." The next hour was a blur. Police arrived, questions were asked, and Catherine's smug demeanor finally crumbled. To my surprise, she admitted to entering our home without permission and to possessing items that didn't belong to her. As the officers led her away, she turned to me. "This isn't over, Kelsey. You'll regret this." The door closed behind her, leaving Gregory and me in stunned silence. "I can't believe you did that," he finally said. I rounded on him. "I can't believe you've been enabling her this whole time. What were you thinking, Gregory?" He ran a hand through his hair. "She's my mother, Kels. I thought." "I don't know what I thought." "Well, start thinking now," I said, "because this ends today. No more keys, no more surprise visits, no more manipulations. Do you understand?" Gregory nodded slowly. "I'm sorry. I should have set boundaries earlier." I sighed, the fight draining out of me. "Yes, you should have, but it's done now." As I turned to go upstairs, Gregory caught my arm. "What about the photos and everything else Catherine said about your mother?" I paused, my heart heavy. "I don't know, but I'm going to find out the truth without Catherine's interference." Climbing the stairs, I felt a mix of relief and trepidation. I'd taken back control, but at what cost? And what other secrets were lurking in my family's past? One thing was certain, this battle was far from over. But for the first time in weeks, I felt ready to face whatever came next, with or without Gregory by my side. The days following Catherine's arrest were eerily quiet. Gregory walked on eggshells around me, and I found myself jumping at every unexpected sound, half expecting Catherine to materialize in our living room again. One afternoon, as I sorted through the mail, A thick envelope caught my eye. No return address. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were more photos of my mother, along with newspaper clippings I'd never seen before. A note in unfamiliar handwriting read, "The truth can't stay buried forever." I sank onto the couch, my mind reeling. The clippings detailed a scandal from decades ago, my mother's name linked to a powerful businessman in a corruption case. How had I never known about this? The front door opened and Gregory called out, "Kels, you home?" I quickly shoved everything back into the envelope. "In here." He entered, his face tight with worry. "Mom's been released. She wants to talk." My stomach churned. Absolutely not. "Kelsey, please. She says she has important information about your mother." I stood, anger flaring. "More lies and manipulation, you mean? When will you stop defending her?" Gregory's shoulders slumped. "I'm not defending her. I think there's more to this story than we know." "You're right," I said, holding up the envelope. "There is, but I'm done letting Catherine control the narrative." His eyes widened. "What's that?" "I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out without Catherine's interference." Just then my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Meet me at Riverside Park in an hour if you want the whole truth. Come alone." My heart raced. Could it be my aunt, or was this another of Catherine's tricks? "I have to go," I said, grabbing my keys. Gregory caught my arm. "Kels, wait, where are you going?" I hesitated, then made a decision, to get answers, real ones this time. "Let me come with you," he pleaded. I shook my head. "No, I need to do this alone." As I drove to the park, my mind whirled with possibilities. Who had sent those photos? Who wanted to meet? And most importantly, what was the truth about my mother's past? I parked and scanned the area, my heart pounding. A figure sat on a bench near the pond, hunched and unrecognizable. Taking a deep breath, I approached. "Hello?" The person looked up and I gasped. It was my mother. "Kelsey," she said, her voice cracking. "Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry." I stood frozen, 1,000 emotions warring inside me. "Mom? What? How?" She patted the bench beside her. "Sit, please. I owe you an explanation." Numbly, I sat. My mother, the woman I hadn't seen in over 2 decades, looked older, worn, but her eyes were the same. "I know Catherine's been causing trouble," she began. "I should have known she'd never let it go." "Let what go?" I asked, finding my voice. "Mom, what's going on?" She sighed heavily. "It's a long story, honey, but the short version is this. Catherine and I were once friends, close friends, until I discovered her husband's illegal activities." My head spun. "The businessman in the newspaper articles." Mom nodded. "You've seen those, then. Yes, that was Gregory's father. I tried to expose him, but Catherine, she turned it all around on me, made it look like I was the one involved." Tears filled her eyes. "I had to leave, Kelsey, to protect you. Catherine threatened to drag you into it if I didn't disappear." I sat in stunned silence, trying to process it all. But why now? Why is she bringing all this up again? Mom's face hardened. "Because the truth is about to come out, all of it, and Catherine's trying to control the narrative." She reached for my hand. "Kelsey, I need your help. Will you stand with me and finally bring this all to light?" I stared at her, my heart pounding. This was it, the moment that would change everything. My relationship with Gregory, my understanding of my past, my very identity, it all hung in the balance. Taking a deep breath, I made my decision. "Tell me everything, Mom, from the beginning." As she began to speak, I knew there was no turning back. The battle for the truth had only just begun. I paced our living room, my mother's revelations echoing in my mind. The truth was more twisted than I could have imagined, and I knew confronting Gregory was inevitable. But before I could gather my thoughts, the front door burst open. Gregory rushed in, followed closely by Catherine. Their faces were flushed with excitement, a stark contrast to the dread pooling in my stomach. "Kelsey!" Gregory exclaimed. "We have amazing news!" I crossed my arms, steeling myself. "What is it?" Catherine beamed, her eyes gleaming with triumph. "We've found the perfect solution to all our problems, dear." Gregory nodded enthusiastically. "We bought a house, Kels, a fresh start for all of us." The world tilted on its axis. What? "It's beautiful," Catherine gushed. "Plenty of room for the whole family. We can all live together just like we should." I struggled to breathe. How did you pay for this?" Gregory's smile faltered slightly. "Well, we used our savings, and I borrowed from your account, just temporarily, of course." The room spun. "My account? Gregory, how could you?" Catherine waved dismissively. Now, Kelsey, don't be dramatic. It's for the best. Rage boiled inside me. The best? You've been manipulating us from the start, and now this. Gregory reached for me, but I jerked away. Kels, please. We did this for you, for us, to bring the family together. Family? I laughed bitterly. Do you even know what that word means anymore? Catherine's eyes narrowed. Watch your tone, young lady. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done? I exploded. You've lied, schemed, and now stolen from me. I know the truth about you, Catherine, about what you did to my mother. The color drained from her face. What are you talking about? I turned to Gregory. Did you know about your father's crimes? About how your mother framed mine to cover it up? He stumbled back, shock etched across his features. Kels, what? Don't play dumb, I snapped. I met with my mother. I know everything. Catherine's mask of benevolence cracked. You ungrateful little... Enough, I shouted. I want you both out, now. Gregory's eyes filled with tears. Kelsey, please, we can work this out. I shook my head, my resolve hardening. No, we can't, not anymore. Catherine sneered. You can't kick us out, we own this house now. My blood ran cold. What? She produced a document with a flourish. It's all here, dear. The deed's in our names. You should really pay more attention to what you sign. I snatched the paper, scanning it in disbelief. There it was in black and white, my signature, transferring ownership of our home. This is forged, I whispered. Catherine smirked. Prove it. The room closed in around me. Everything I'd worked for, everything I'd built, gone in an instant. Gregory reached for me again. Kels, I'm sorry. I thought... I recoiled from his touch. You thought what? That you could betray me like this and I'd just accept it? His face crumpled. I love you. I was trying to save our family. There is no family anymore, I said, my voice breaking. Not after this. I turned, grabbing my keys and phone. Catherine called after me, her voice sickly sweet. Where are you going, dear? This is your home, remember? I paused at the door, looking back at the wreckage of my life. No, I said quietly. It's not. As I stepped outside, the weight of everything crashed down on me. I was homeless, betrayed by the man I loved, and facing a battle I wasn't sure I could win. But as I drove away, one thought crystallized in my mind. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Catherine and Gregory had no idea what I was capable of when pushed to my limits, and they were about to find out. I sat in my lawyer's office, the divorce papers spread before me like a roadmap to a future I never imagined. My hands trembled as I reached for the pen. Are you sure about this, Kelsey? Sarah, my attorney and longtime friend, asked gently. I nodded, my jaw set. I've never been more certain of anything in my life. Just as I was about to sign, my phone buzzed. Gregory's name flashed on the screen. I hesitated, then answered. Kels, please, his voice cracked. Don't do this. We can work it out. Think of Emma. My heart clenched at the mention of our daughter. I am thinking of Emma. That's why I have to do this. Give me one more chance, he pleaded. Meet me at the new house. Let me explain everything. I closed my eyes, torn between anger and the lingering echoes of love. Fine, 1 hour. Sarah touched my arm as I stood. Be careful, Kelsey. Remember what's at stake. I drove to the address Gregory had texted, my emotions a storm of rage and heartache. The house loomed before me, a monument to betrayal. Gregory met me at the door, his face haggard. Thank you for coming. I brushed past him, entering a living room that screamed of Catherine's taste. Make it quick. He paced, running his hands through his hair. I know I messed up, but I did it for us, for our family. Family? I spat. You let your mother manipulate and steal from us. You betrayed everything we built together. I was trying to keep us together, he shouted, then deflated. Mom said, she said if we didn't do this you'd leave, that you were planning to take Emma and run. I stared at him, incredulous. And you believed her? I didn't know what to believe anymore, he whispered. Everything was falling apart. A noise from upstairs made me freeze. Who else is here? Gregory's eyes widened. No one, I swear. But footsteps on the stairs betrayed his lie. Catherine appeared, Emma clinging to her hand. Mommy, Emma cried, running to me. I scooped her up, fury blazing through me. What is this? Catherine smiled, saccharine sweet. We thought Emma should see her new home. Isn't it lovely, dear? You had no right, I hissed, clutching Emma tighter. Oh, but we do, Catherine purred, producing a document. You see, we filed for emergency custody, thought, given your unstable behavior lately. The world tilted beneath my feet. You what? Gregory stepped forward, his face pale. Mom, we agreed we wouldn't. Hush, darling, Catherine cut him off. It's for the best. I set Emma down, my voice low and dangerous. Emma, sweetheart, go play in the other room for a minute. Once she was gone, I rounded on them. You think you can take my daughter? After everything you've done? Catherine's mask slipped, revealing the venom beneath. We can and we will. You're outnumbered, Kelsey. It's time to accept defeat. Something snapped inside me. Years of manipulation, lies, and betrayal crystallized into a single burning point of rage. No, I said, my voice steady. I won't let you destroy my life or my daughter's. This ends now. I pulled out my phone, my finger hovering over a number. I have proof, Catherine, of everything. Your husband's crimes, your cover-up, the forged documents. One call, and it all comes crashing down. The color drained from her face. You're bluffing. Try me, I challenged, my heart pounding. The room crackled with tension. Gregory looked between us, lost and confused. Catherine's eyes darted, calculating. In that moment I knew. This was it. The point of no return. Whatever happened next would change everything forever. My finger descended toward the call button, and the world held its breath. My finger hovered over the call button, the room thick with tension. Catherine's eyes darted between my face and the phone, her mask of control cracking. You wouldn't dare, she hissed. I met her gaze steadily. Try me. Gregory stepped forward, his face pale. Kelsey, what's going on? What proof? I took a deep breath. Your father's crimes, Greg, the corruption, the cover-up, everything. His eyes widened in shock. That's impossible. Dad was a criminal, I finished. And your mother helped hide it all. Catherine lunged for my phone, but I was quicker. It's over, Catherine. I've already sent copies to my lawyer. She stumbled back, her face ashen. You're bluffing. Am I? I pulled up a series of emails on my phone screen. These are from my mother, detailing everything she uncovered before you forced her into hiding. Gregory sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. All this time, you knew? I softened slightly. I only found out recently, when I met with my mother. Catherine's laugh was brittle. So what? It's your word against ours. Who do you think they'll believe? They'll believe the evidence, I said firmly. Bank records, witness statements, everything my mother collected before you threatened her. The fight seemed to drain out of Catherine. She looked suddenly old, defeated. What do you want? I straightened my shoulders. I want my life back, my home, my savings, and full custody of Emma. You can't, Catherine began, but Gregory cut her off. Enough, Mom, he said quietly. It's over. He turned to me, his eyes filled with regret. Kels, I'm so sorry, I had no idea. I nodded, my heart aching despite everything. I know. Catherine slumped in a chair, her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. What happens now? Now, I said, you both sign these papers. I pulled out the documents I'd brought from my lawyer's office. Returning full ownership of our house to me, relinquishing any claim to my savings, and agreeing to my terms for custody. Gregory signed without hesitation. Catherine's hand shook as she scrawled her name. As I gathered the papers, a small voice came from the doorway. Mommy, can we go home now? Emma stood there, her eyes wide and confused. I scooped her up, holding her close. Yes, baby, we're going home. I turned to Gregory and Catherine one last time. I won't press charges for Emma's sake, but if you ever try to come between me and my daughter again, I won't hesitate. Gregory nodded, tears in his eyes. I understand. I'm sorry, Kels, for everything. As I walked out of that house, Emma in my arms, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in months, I could breathe freely. Weeks later, I sat on our porch, my porch, watching Emma play in the yard. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Proud of you, sweetheart? Dinner next week? I smiled, typing back a quick yes. We were rebuilding our relationship, slowly but surely. The sound of a car pulling up made me tense, but it was just Sarah, my lawyer and friend. She joined me on the porch, grinning. Got the final paperwork today, she said. It's all official, the house, the savings, everything. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. It's really over. Sarah squeezed my hand. You did it, Kels. You stood up for yourself and won. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the yard, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. The past months had been a battle, but I'd emerged stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever. I thought of all the women like me, fighting their own battles against manipulation and deceit. I hope my story might give them courage, show them that it's never too late to reclaim your life and your dignity. Emma's laughter floated across the yard, and I smiled. We had a bright future ahead of us, free from shadows and secrets, and I was ready to embrace every moment of it.